Ladies and gentlemen, as we are about to begin, I have a few reminders to make before we begin today's program. First, I would like to seek your cooperation in completing this program. Kindly ensure your microphone is always in mute to avoid interruption. Thank you for your kind cooperation and attention. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Greetings to Associate Professor Dr. Sakinah Ali Piche, Deputy Dean, Student Affairs and Alumni of Faculty of Science and Technology, lecturers, staffs and students present. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning I bid to everyone. To call for blessing upon this program, I would like to invite Muhammad Adenin to lead our recitation of dua.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم إنك خلق العظيم إنك سميع العليم إنك غفور رحيم إنك رب العرش العظيم. Ya Allah, indeed we gather today to express our gratitude to you for your invaluable favor. Make us your servants who are always faithful and grateful for the blessings that are available. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, we ask your blessing to make this forum in success. Surely you are all knowing that we are here to gain and share your vast knowledge. Ya Allah, bless us our life in this meeting and gathering. Grant us your knowledge and illuminate our heart with the lights of your guidance so that we can easily accept and appreciate it. Ya Zal Jalal wal Ikram. We also seek your protection from all the things that may tarnish the reputation of our council, as well as from all the things that prevent us from obeying you. All our affairs are left to you alone. ربنا عليك توكلنا وإليك أنبنا وإليك المصير. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin, Amin, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Thank you, Muhammad Adenin, for the beautiful recitation of dua. During the Q&A session, all participants are free to ask a question verbally or leave it in the chat box. Participants can also drop your inquiries anonymously at slido.com. The link and code to the website are provided in the chat box. Without further ado, I welcome our moderator, Yasmin Farhani, to continue the program.
Okay, thank you to the MC, Ms. Farisha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Greetings to Associate Professor Dr. Sakinah Ali Piche, our Deputy Dean of Student Affairs and Alumni of FST, lecturers, staff and students present. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning I bid to everyone. My name is Yasmin Farhani binti Akmal and I will be your moderator for today's forum, Conquer the Uncertainty, New Perspectives of Wellbeing Post-COVID-19. So thank you as well to Mr. Hassan and also to Mr. Muhammad Hafiz for joining us today. It's a huge honor to have you grace our ceremony. So before we start, let's all give a round of applause to our panel for today. Can anybody do the reactions of claps? Yay, thank you. So give a big round of applause for our panels, Mr. Hafiz and also to Mr. Hassan. So we have a few questions prepared for you for both our amazing panels regarding this forum, which is Conquering the Uncertainty and touching on the new perspectives of well-being after COVID-19 has happened. So as we can see, since the pandemic hit the country back in 2020, we've witnessed not only lives being lost to the virus, but also a drastic shift in our lifestyle. You can see that many people have lost their jobs and many people are struggling to find jobs as well. So you can also see that many small and medium organizations have struggled to stay afloat, not to mention all the other big companies that have had to suffer lots of losses, kan? Oops. Okay, so because of this, you can also see that there are many new hiring requirements being presented by the companies when they're searching or recruiting new workers. So my question to Mr. Hassan is that although some people can say that COVID-19 can be seen as a boon, okay, a boon for living beings, which is something that's a good thing. But for humans, especially, we can consider it as a scourge or something not really good for us. But what's your opinion of the reality of COVID-19 in the developing world? So maybe you can touch or maybe you can explain what's your opinion on the reality of COVID-19 itself? Is it beneficial for us or can it be seen as something truly negative? So without further ado, Mr. Hassan.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Kaifa halak?
Salam.
Kula tamam. Okay, good. I never seen people clapping like that on the screen. Chomel. Okay, good. So you ask about COVID-19. I mean, is COVID-19 good or bad? You can never say it's good, right? Anything where people are dying, memang considered bad, right? But what's been the effect? I mean, I can tell you the effect first. You have insurance and non-insurance. You're actuarial science. We're all actuaries. Can. So as actuaries, that doesn't mean we're working in an insurance company. That means we're working as actuaries. Actuaries, it's an actuarial brain. It's a way of thinking rather than working in an insurance company. So I'll focus for a minute on COVID-19 on insurance companies. But just remember, there's so many other places and things that an actuary does, you know? In an insurance company, you have life insurance and general insurance. So life insurance, there are people that die due to COVID-19, and that does affect life insurance, but not so big, honestly. There's not been that many deaths. My company has clients in a bunch of countries, and most countries we do business in, it's not a big effect, actually. Not that many people are dying. Got lah, but not many. In terms of health insurance and stuff like that, it's actually been much better experience due to COVID-19 because people are scared to go to the hospital. So if you don't really need to go to the hospital, you tak pergi lah. Sorry ya, aku pun bahasa Melayu. So you don't go to the hospital. So experience actually has been better than before. General insurance as well. If there's nobody on the road, nobody gets into an accident lah. So experience has actually been better due to COVID-19. Long term, we're not sure. There's been actuarial studies going on now that people that got COVID-19, are they really better or are they not better actually? There's long-term effects. And that one, it's still too early to tell. You know, we just don't know the effect. Now, how has that affected all of us? It depends. I mean, we recently did a survey of different employers of actuaries. We talked to insurance companies, we talked to audit firms, consultants, Bank Negara, and we said, okay, so, macam mana? It's been 2 years. Are you back to normal or is there a new normal? You know, how has COVID-19 changed you? There were a few insurance companies that back to normal. Memang they're back to working 5 days a week at the office. Actuarial department, yeah? There are also some companies which are still working from home, and they said, we're not going to go back to the office. Not saying not now, we're never going back to the office. They said, we've been expanding. We don't have enough desks, even if I wanted to bring everybody into the office. So long term, their actuarial team is going to be working from home. That's a new reality for some companies. The rest of us, the vast majority of companies, I can say, we're looking at hybrid long term. You know, I can't say for everybody else, but you know, I can't imagine, you know, for my company ever going back to 5 days a week. You know, we'll have to see how it goes, but that's the reality of work life now. Now, how does it affect you as a young person? It's good and it's bad. You know, it's on the one hand, it's very bad for you because you can't, how to say, going to classes from home is convenient. Kan? You can be wearing, macam-macam and still being at your class. You can be in bed, propped up on your pillow and still learning lah. How cool is that? It's the same thing with working from home. I've been in conferences. I'm wearing a full suit and tie and very chante, but from the waist down, I'm wearing shorts. You can't do that in a conference, in a live conference. So, in one sense, it's a very good thing for you, but you miss that interaction. When you're young and you're first, maybe I guess you guys are more like seniors and stuff lah. So you're that comfortable with USIM, but for the kids that are freshmen or maybe now with sophomores lah, it would be very difficult because you've never felt the USIM experience. You never became together with the rest of the other students. It's the same thing with working life. If you want to be interacting and feel the culture at your company, you want that togetherness as you learn together and you discover together, and so that's a big negative for you, I would say. I mean, especially USIM. I mean, USIM I think is more, how to say, together more than other universities. I when I interview USIM students, I have to be very careful with you guys. Normally when I'm interviewing, whether it's from local university, US, UK, memang hardcore lah. They're fighting, so they know, okay, if you put multiple students in one room, they're fighting to see who gives the best answers to get hired lah. USIM kids they help each other lah. So one person doesn't know the answer, the other one will be whispering, okay, like this. Dahsyat lah. Very good. I mean, it's good lah, but but if you're working from home, you lose that. So in a sense, that's the bad part of COVID-19. Now, how about getting a job? Is it different getting a job with COVID-19 or without COVID-19? For that, I would have said it depends. It depends on who's hiring you. Some employers, they want to hire you based on the number of exams. So if you don't have, say, 3 exams passed, sorry lah, they'll look at your CV and then put it aside. You have 0 chance. Other employers, they'll be looking at your grades. So if you're not first class honors, if you are not 3.8 average and above, sorry lah, you got no chance here. So that one is the same whether it's COVID or not COVID. The way I see it, people are still moving around. People are still hiring actuaries. So I think the jobs are still there. I don't think there's any reduction in jobs, but it could be a change sometime for some employers, how they hire. I mean, I can tell you how I hire and how my hiring changed a little bit due to COVID-19. I was looking for a new staff in just after COVID-19 started. I think it was, I remember when it was. We lost somebody. She went to Hong Kong for work. So I can compete. I can give counter offers for another insurance company in Malaysia. Tapi Hong Kong, sorry lah, difficult. Good opportunity, So we lost her, and we're bringing somebody new in. So I asked for applications. Just send on LinkedIn lah. Said, okay, fresh grads, jum, come. So I had 100 over applications for one position. Okay, so out of that, I had a few rules. I didn't require you to have any exam passes. That's a little controversial. By right, you should have exam passes. Yeah, that's just to prove that you can do it. But I didn't require that. I wanted to get anybody. I didn't require an actuarial science degree. So math is okay, economics is okay, anything technical like that lah. Okay, and I wanted a grade point average of about 3.4 or so. I didn't need somebody very, very smart, but you had to be a certain smart lah. If it's like 2.0 average, it's a bit hard to. You need the foundation. When it comes to young students, you're building them, you're growing them. You've got like a blank piece of paper, or, this piece of clay. You need to mold it and merge it. If the clay is not good, then there's nothing you can do. But you don't need it to look perfect right away. You just need the material to be okay. So 3.4 is about nice. And again, that's not fixed. Sometimes there's people that, the grades okay, and then one semester KO. Everything is terrible. I've seen a few cases, they broke up with the boyfriend and chaos, and it is what it is, lah. Or death in the family. It's real life, lah. You don't go to university and not have real life. You still have your life, can. And sometimes the grades are improving, so that's good. But about 3.4. So that cut down the applicants from over 100 to about 80 applicants. Okay. Now for me, I work in a consulting company. So for me, we're not doing the same thing every day. So if you're working in an insurance company and you're in the valuation team or the IFRS 17 team, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should study. Yeah, you got to know what IFRS 17 is. It's very, you do the same work every month. So it's very, you have rules and instructions, and you want to make sure the person is very careful and not making mistakes. But for my job, I'm a consultant, so I go to macam-macam places. Every year could be different. This year it's been Nepal, it's been Sri Lanka's been chaos because of the economic situation over there. We're active in Kenya. Kazakhstan just started, so we got a new project in Kazakhstan. We're hoping for a nice business trip to Kazakhstan. So we don't know where we're going to be. So I need the students to think and be logical thinking. So I brought all of those 80 candidates in for logic tests. They hate those tests. But I need to know, can you think logically? Can you think outside the box? Because I'm not going to have an instruction manual. I'm starting a project, should be next week, with an Indonesian company. We're trying to rescue the company. The company is basically ready to die lah. We're trying to rescue the company. I can't tell you what the project is going to be about. I've not gone there. I need to go to Jakarta first, see what's going on. The analysts, the young students are going to be with me. And then we're going to figure out, okay, how to fix this company. So there's no instruction manual. There's no, it's all from using, thinking. So with this, I need people to be thinking logically. So I gave everybody a test. So out of that test, there were about 30 or so that did okay. So out of that 80, I dropped it down to 30. Okay. Now from the 30, my team kind of psycho because I wanted to be very fair, because sometimes I have an ex-intern and I memang sayang the intern did a good job, but that's not fair to others, kan? Or I sayang USIM students, but that's not fair, kan? Has to give equal opportunity to everybody. So when it comes to those 30 students, I personally will narrow it down to 15. That's based on whatever I think lah, For this COVID-19, people that look like they were independent had an advantage. Because if you're working from home, you need to be thinking. You need to be able to work independently, So what does that mean? So if somebody had an internship, that's a good thing. So at least they know what actuarial science is about. They've been in and around. They've seen the working environment. That's a positive lah. People that couldn't get an internship, but they worked at a petrol station, also good. Because they showed responsibility. We had one that was very good. She worked at a petrol station, but she said, okay, she was handling the money, and then she was doing the daily closings and able to talk about account balances. Chun, how can you, that's great. Even though it's not an actuarial position, it showed responsibility and able to work independently. So that was what I loved. So based on that, we came from 30 down to 15. And then we got to 15, it's up to my staff. My staff interviewed those 15. I wasn't in the room, and my two seniors with me weren't in the room. Not at all. Totally up to them, who they want to hire. So what does that mean? You need to be a good teammate. If you go into a meeting and you're meeting a bunch of people and you come across as arrogant or somebody they can't work with, or so shy, especially the ladies, so shy, don't takut to say anything. They're going to look at you and say, okay, can this person really work independently? Or this is going to be my colleague. That's a difficult thing. Even if you're an introvert, it's a question of, gaining the soft skills to be able to do this. Okay, so they took the 15 and interviewed them, brought it down to 5 people. From those 5 people, then it was myself and my 2 seniors to sit with them and find the right person. And from there, we did put a lot of weightage on people that were independent, speaking honestly. Now, part of those 100 students that originally were there were 7 people with perfect 4.0 averages. None of them made it into the final 15. None of them. We had kids with 5 exams passed. A few of them did make it into the final 15. None of them made it through. When it comes to COVID-19, we're going to need people that are well-rounded, that can think, that can be independent, and can handle adversity. This is stressful times. COVID-19 is very stressful. We're all mentally stressed, Anybody who says, life is good, no mental stress, they tipu je lah. There's no way you can survive these 2 years without feeling a lot of mental stress. Everybody knows that. It's a question of, when we're going to hire people that are well-rounded. They understand, they're taking care of themselves. They know what it means to take care of themselves. Okay lah, I talked too long. Sorry. Boleh ke? Okay.
No, it's okay. Thank you. Is there more you want to say, Mr. Hassan?
Khalas.
Khalas, okay. No, thank you. It was a very good explanation, Mr. Hassan. Thank you for clarifying to us as well about what you're searching for in when you're recruiting for new workers, because in here we've also got students from year 3 and year 4, and they're not only actuarial students. Actually, we have all the students from FST, and there may be also other students from other faculties as well, so they can get a great input from that. Thank you, Mr. Hassan. So next, I'll direct the question to Mr. Hafiz. So the next question is going to be on, is there going to be a possibility that a student's passion may be the opposite of the current industry demand? So in your opinion, Mr. Hafiz, is it better if they continue to pursue their passion, or is it better to meet or fulfill the current market demands? Because it's quite hard lah. If you truly want to pursue your passion, then there may be other things that you have to sacrifice as well. So for Mr. Hafiz, what are the factors that can influence the student's career choice in choosing between passion versus the job market? So please, Mr. Hafiz.
All right. Assalamualaikum. Thank you very much for the invitation to the forum. But I listened to Encik Hassan just now. I think even if the students did not take note, I think 2 main points that I really like about Encik Hassan mentioned, the personal anecdote about the students, about the interviewee and so on. First is about be able to think logically and systematically. And number 2 is being independent. Those 2 traits I think every employer would love to have in their potential students or potential interns, potential employees, because those 2 traits, meaning that you do not have to teach them much. You just give them instruction and they just make it happen. So those 2 traits are very, very important, because why I would like to repeat Encik Hassan's points is because I've been thinking about it a long time, and I just heard about it. I also was discussing with my business partners yesterday and this morning also. So these 2 points are being repeated over and over again. Even in my meeting yesterday and today, it's the same points. But let's not digress. I would like to answer your questions. Okay, your question is kind of when you are young, that's kind of the same question that you keep asking yourself. Okay, work is boring. My work here is boring. It's killing me. I would like to resign and so on, because I have passion. I have this passion to bake. I have this passion that I love to write, play music, write music, or compose music, or draw. so on. So you like to think that yes, I have passions, and these passions are me, and I do not like to define myself with my work. So maybe your what you call it, actuaries, or your network engineer or so on. So you don't, especially for your generation, you don't like to be defined by your work. That's good. I think that's very, very good. But I would like to say, based on my limited experience, I am not experienced as Encik Hassan, but in my limited experience, you tend to think that your passions tend to be opposite of your work. Okay. I would like to take a small anecdote a little bit. I used to think that I would like to be an investment banker or hedge fund manager that just manage money, just invest in invest in things and just make a lot of money. Um, but then I did not have that kind of opportunity. I had to come back to Malaysia from UK to serve my bond. My employer put me in a very, very weird department. I was very unhappy because I think this is not my passion. My passion is in making money for as a fund manager kind of thing, analyze companies and so on. So my employer put me in a venture capital arm of Pemodalan Nasional Berhad. The PNB is the one managing your ASB money lah. So they put me in the venture capital arm. I did not realize it at that time when I was 23, 25 years old. I did not realize it at that time. It was a turning point for me because I did not know that I could combine my passion with my work. So at PERC, or at the venture capital arm of PNB, I was able to capitalize on my passion and start to use my passion, my understanding of technology, my love for technology and so on in my work. And it starts to show that I was able to grasp things about analyzing potential companies and so on that PNB should invest in better, because I had that I was having that kind of passion for technology. So they put me in technology to analyze technology companies, and after a while I like it so much. I did not know that that kind of passion can combine with that work. I like it so much to the point that I decided to resign and start my own company, because I love it so much doing that kind of thing. I saw a lot of entrepreneurs doing that kind of thing. I never thought that entrepreneur life is very interesting. I never thought it that way. But then, because at that point of time, my passion was just technology. But then that experience, 2 years, just 2 years working as a venture capitalist, kind of opened up my eyes. So for this personal anecdote, is that what I would like to say is that you do not try to think in black and white. At this point of time, when you're so young, when you're 20-ish, you do not know what the world can offer you. The world is your oyster. You have a lot of things to explore, and I think is that sometimes we tend to okay, this work is not my passion. You wouldn't know. You haven't explored that kind of workplace yet. You haven't explored what kind of work is that. You immediately say that, oh, this work is not my passion. You wouldn't know. Those kind of things you wouldn't know. Sometimes for me is that if you can afford to, you can afford to be picky, be mengada-ngada, not as in choosing what kind of work that you want and so on, then go ahead. But if you are unable to afford to, I think the best thing that you can do is that try to enjoy and appreciate your work and see how that your passions can be combined with your work. If you would like to know, a lot of Nobel Prize winners in economics, they are not most of the famous one, the one that I know. For example, the one in Beautiful Mind, they are not from economics point of view. The idea here is science is that they combine multiple field. So field of economics, field of physics or biology can fuse with economics, and then you produce a Nobel Prize winner. So, for example, in my line of work, you do not have to be okay. You're just an entrepreneur or you're just a businessman or so on. You have to be able to understand. Okay, technology. Oh, okay. This is about the technology, and then you also have to understand about the economy and so on. So those kind of things are very useful in in any line of work. So back to tie up my point, do not just think in black and white. Yes, this is my passion. They are opposite of my work. Actually, those two can combine, and I would prefer that, or in my past experience, is that I would combine those my passion and my work to make my life more bearable lah. Because everyone also have mental stress, right? So make my life more bearable, I tend to like both my passion and my work, combine them together, so I love them both.
Thank you, Mr. Hafiz. That was a very good point. Actually, I've never thought of combining my passion with my work sometimes, or with the subjects that I'm learning, because if according to my experience or what I see as a younger generation, most of us are exposed to TikTok and also to YouTube and Instagram, right? So what we see, or what's more often viral, is actually examples of people around our age that have succeeded, but actually rebelling against their parents' wishes. Usually it's especially the Asians, or what I can see from what I've observed, is you can see that the Asians, parents usually have a stricter criteria of what their children should be. And so when they rebel and also they pursue what their passion is, that's being viral for the kids around our age. So I think that's the reason why people don't mix or just try to focus on pursuing their passion more than combining the work. But once you've said that, I actually think that that's a great way. And if there are any influencers inside here, then maybe you can also implement that, or show that you can actually implement that and show that to other people, so that they don't have such stress over thinking on whether they should choose passion or choosing their work-related careers. So that's my personal opinion. Thank you so much, Mr. Hafiz.
Yasmin,
Yes.
can I add to your note just now?
Yeah, sure.
Number one is that whatever that you see on TikTok, on Instagram and so on, because I always on TikTok, so I produce a lot of content on TikTok. I think I tend to produce more content than you guys. Okay, so if on TikTok there's this thing called survivorship bias. You only see the successful one. I may not be good at predicting things as compared to Mr. Hassan, but I can be sure that most of the one that rebelling and so on, try to rebel so on, most of them are not successful. So those are what you see on TikTok are the survivorship bias. Back to the combine the passion. Actually, the Asians ke, whoever lah, Asians ke, Mak Saleh ke, it doesn't really matter. But I think the thing is that kita terlampau keras kepala sangat. Kita kena start to go with the flow, enjoy the work, start to try to see things from a different point of view. Then you can start to combine your passion. Okay, I think that's basically it lah.
Thank you, Mr. Hafiz. Okay, so I think we've talked quite a bit now. It's already 9:40. Let's straight away move on to the next question. This question can be directed to Mr. Hassan again. So, Mr. Hassan, there's a lot of students, I think, that are still unclear about which career path is actually of their interest. So furthermore, the students are, well, I can't say that they don't have exposure, but they may still be less exposed to the careers that are deemed as the current industry demand. And there are also jobs that are not affected by the pandemic. So what can you suggest for the students to make their first career path decision, whether indecisive or so? To put it simply, like what suggestions or tips can you give to the students if they're indecisive in choosing their career path?
Okay, let me give a surprise quiz. Okay, this is to you, yeah? Okay. One question that we always ask, you're interested in becoming an actuary, Ken? Yourself? Yes?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm a computer science student.
Okay. Give me a name out of the people here. Give me a name who's an actuarial student.
Oh, okay.
I see.
Wait, let me see. Is there anyone who wants to volunteer from the ASRIM, Actuarial Science?
Nurul Atikah, but final year student.
Okay.
Okay.
Nurul Atika, you dah mangsa. Okay. Okay. You're interested in being an actuary, Ken?
Yes.
Okay. So that means you're interested in working in an insurance company eventually, right?
Yes, true.
Okay. Do you want to work as life insurance or in general insurance?
Both is okay for me actually.
Okay, that's a trick question. That's a question that we always ask. Everyone's going to ask, do you like life insurance or health insurance? Okay, so it's the same thing. They're going to ask you, thanks Atika, yeah? They're going to ask you, do you like to do IFRS 17? Do you want to do investment? They're going to ask you these questions. The only real answer is you got no idea. Right. You don't know at this point. So sometimes we get the students coming in and saying, yes, I want to do life insurance because I love commutation functions. Seriously, no lah. There's no such thing. Or, I like this. Or most 90% of the time when they say, okay, this is what I love, they're just guessing. And most times we can catch when you're not telling the truth. When people are guessing, you can catch it. Now, why do I tell you that? I tell you that because sometimes when you have an interview, you're worried that you don't have the right industry knowledge. You don't have the knowledge of what the sexy career of the day is. I mean, now in actuarial science right now, it's called IFRS 17. That's the sexy career lah. Everybody is hiring for IFRS 17. But in your classes, got good lessons on IFRS 17. Sure don't have, and beyond that, it'd be hard to find a university which is really teaching that. There's only one that I know, local and foreign, that's Sunway. Sunway is the only one that I know about. That's because of not from the university itself, but from the strength of Sophia, a qualified actuary that works there. She puts together her own separate program where she teaches them practical skills. She takes the top students and teaches them that. So these kids can actually go into interviews and talk. Everybody else, you're not going to know. So it's just what Afiz said, that you might get into a strange job, a strange department, like, what is this department? Venture capital. And you might say, I don't know what the heck this is. But you don't know. You don't know whether it's going to be interesting to you or not. And you don't know what Tuhan punya plan is for you. I mean, that one is serious. I mean, Allah Ta'ala's got a plan for you and you don't know what that plan is. And, if you asked me when I was first graduating, I was going to be, in the middle of Malaysia, someplace working from home and whatever. No way, I'd never believe you. I'm from the US, I'm American. I never would have imagined that I would, be working over here. But kalau Tuhan ada plan lah. So that one is very serious. Now, for yourselves, you should understand what you like and you dislike. Okay, you became an actuarial science major. Yes, it's because your mom and dad wanted you to become an actuarial science major. If I can be blunt, it's because maybe you weren't smart enough to get into the medical program. So tak dapat medical, okay lah. Second choice become actuarial science lah. I've seen it, you know, and they come back, and I've had people interviewing in tears because I really wanted to be a doctor, but I couldn't do it, so I had to settle for actuarial science. Okay, at least jujur lah, So, but there must be something about these actuarial courses which you like. If there was nothing that you liked about these courses, you would not have been doing. You would have failed. You would have left by now because these courses are hard. What is it about these courses that you like? Okay, so when you are graduating, when you're going up in your career, it's going to be at least two pillars, not one pillar, and I'll explain that. Okay, one pillar is your actuarial science. You understand about all the different compound interest and persistency and what all the different insurance products are and all this kind of stuff. You learn this. That's one pillar. It's a good pillar. You need to know this. Okay, and you should understand why you like these courses. So for the courses that you've taken right now, why do you like each course? You must like some courses better than another. Yes, I know it's probably the lecturer. I know that's a big thing. If the lecturer does a very good job, you love that course. It happens all the time. You got a course and it's the worst course in the world. It's such a boring course, but the lecturer comes in all excited for this course, and you love it. Not because the material is good, but because the lecturer is very good. And vice versa. You can have the greatest course in the world, but if the lecturer is boring and, you can see the lecturer doesn't really want to be there, habis lah. You won't find that course interesting, okay? But beyond all of that, there must be some courses that you like more than others. Why? Why is that? Is it because you're solving puzzles? Is it because there's an unknown? Go beyond the actual science. Go to the emotional part of it. What is it about these courses that you find exciting, interesting? Okay, so this is one pillar, your pillar, which is your actual science. But you need another pillar in this world. What is it? What else is your passion? Is it singing? Is it Quran reading? Is it? I'm trying to think like a USIM person lah. Is it going to the masjid? Is it NGO work? Okay, NGO, that's a good one. NGO work. So it could be NGO work, whatever it is. Build that passion too, a second pillar. Okay, and build that passion. Okay, you will find out there's a similarity between your passion and the courses that you like at USIM. There's going to be a connection. If you can catch that connection, then you've gone a long way. Okay, when you go to a job interview and you have a passion and you go in there and you start talking with passion about something that you really something you really like, so you can talk about your favorite course and you can talk about it passionately because you've connected it to NGO work. This will get the people that are interviewing you excited. It says, whoa, I want to work with this person, man. This person's got a passion for life. Exactly lah. So it's building two pillars. And you never know when Tuhan is going to connect it all. For years, I've been working for Kachara, helping Kachara. For I think 3-4 years, we were feeding the homeless on Saturday nights. And as an aside, I would always bring my interns with me on Saturday nights. We start around 10 o'clock at night and go till 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I always bring my interns there to teach them actuarial science on the streets. It's the truth, absolutely true. You can learn more about actuarial science while feeding the homeless than you can in so many of your classes. Because we go onto the streets and we're there to not just feed people, we're trying to gain their trust. Because if we can gain their trust, then we can help them. If they don't trust us, we're never going to be able to help them. Especially me, aku ada janggut lah. They memang benci I lah because I've got the janggut. Because for many of the people on the street, Islam has failed them. They've been molested by somebody who's supposed to be religious. They've been hurt by somebody who's religious. Bad things have happened. They've been kicked out of the house because they're transgender. And it's not for me to judge transgender okay or not okay. All I can do is gain them to build my trust. And so after a while, they went from not trusting me to The one fellow, Pachit Yaakob lah, crazy fellow lah. I mean, he mental issues lah, but now he knew we would come on Saturday nights. So he would, if he found any problems, he would bring it to us. And he'd have little presents for us. The presents was shocking. You know, there'd be a mother with a baby. Hasan, 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 Hasan. Abe Hase from Kelantan lah. Abe Hase, Abe Hase. And he would have this, you know, just tell me, okay, found her on the streets and everything. So he knew that we could help. You know, and by the end, they're Muslims, but they're drinking beer in front of us. And, you know, I mean, I can't condone that, of course. But I can't help them if they don't trust me. Okay? It's the same thing about actuarial science. You're not going to receive perfect data. You don't have a lecturer in the real world that's going to say, okay, here's all of your data. It all lines up nicely and all is going to work out perfectly. Life doesn't work like that. You're going to receive all sorts of nonsense. And you need to actually dig through the data. You know, you're like, how do I say, treasure hunters as actuaries. You know, you have to dig down to find the truth of what's going on. Because many times, even in insurance companies, they don't understand what's going on. Only the actuaries do. So a lot of times they'll tell you what the problem is, but they screwed up the problem miserably. They don't know what the problem is. You know, I wish I could say it's different, but they don't know what the problem is. So this kind of teaching is important. Okay, so what was I getting back to? So I've been doing this NGO work for a long time. And about 4 years ago, I instead of doing work in KL, they had me start the operations in Negeri Sembilan. I'm from Seremban. So we started up the operations in Negeri Sembilan. So now the sexy topic, other than IFRS 17 with Bank Negara, is microinsurance, helping the B40, the bottom 40% of wage earners. This is microinsurance. This is understanding the lower part of the population, which is what I've been doing with Kachara. So you have a passion and you have work, and you don't know how Tuhan is going to connect everything after a while. You know, I hope that answered the question lah. So, inshallah. Khalas.
Thank you, Mr. Hassan. So I think this is a little bit similar to what Mr. Hafiz mentioned in the second question. So it's basically students have to find a way to relate between their passion and also their work so that they can actually make a choice. Because like Mr. Hassan said, you won't be able to know what your passion or what your passion is straight away. You need to experience it first. But according to what you have experienced before, you can relate it later on and find out what your passion can relate to your working experience. So thank you, Mr. Hassan. I think we'll move on, Mr. Hafiz. We'll move on to Mr. Hafiz for the fourth question. Okay, so for Mr. Hafiz, given that the information access is now at our fingertips, there's a possibility that the information that students are looking for about the career is not true or unverified. So how can students make sure that this information is verified and legitimate? And that's the first question, Mr. Hafiz. And second is on what are the biggest job search mistakes that students make and how can you prevent them? Mr.
All
Hafiz?
right. Okay. So there are two questions. For the first question on how to verify information, I have to be honest. I never been through the process of looking for a job because after I got back, I had to serve my bond with my sponsor. Then I started business straight away. So to be fair, any advice from me, it is not from the perspective of job seeker. So it's very unfair if I cakap pandai sangat nanti because I pun tak pernah buat. Tapi I can say or I can give you my opinion from my perspective. Okay, so job information that are not verified, how can you verify? So mostly I think it's because of, okay, maybe you are this position, I give you a scenario, this position software developer, or you're not aware of it, or software developer, what does it do, and so on. So the best thing that you can do is, of course, about the position and so on, our best friend, Google and YouTube. So I tend to believe YouTube more, especially if it has a higher view count. I'm not sure it's a good advice or not, but a lot of opinion on YouTube. I tend to watch a few YouTube content that offer differing or opposite opinion, so that I can make the judgment on my own. I tend not to find things that only agree with me. I tend to find things that agree with me and disagree and oppose whatever that I think of lah. For example, if I think, oh, software developer is very stressful, then I try to find maybe funny content about, oh, software developer is not stressful. So then I will try to balance out the points. I mean, pros and cons of all the mentioned in all those videos. Okay, those videos say, oh, software developer very stressful. Work after 6, work during weekends, and then go to the video that that is talking about software developer not stressful because of your working flexible. You can wake up at 4 and then still just join one meeting and pretend that you're working and so on. Those kind of things. So I try to make a list lah. I think this, from my perspective, is that there is no single authority or single source of truth. So the best way is that this is the kind of judgment that you have to make. You collect all those informations, especially those informations that do not agree with whatever you have preconceived notions lah. For example, you kata actuaries ni kerja stress saja ke, maybe some people that are very passionate about it, they will say that yeah, it's stressful but it's very fun. Those kind of thing, you can get travel here and there. So those kind of things, you collect information on your own, and you weigh systematically. You put, okay, point 1, point 2, point 3, you give marks, pros and cons, and then you just, oh, okay, so the pros of this information, maybe 16 out of 20 marks. Those kind of thing. I think it's a systematic kind of thinking would make you go far. So this is how you analyze things, in my opinion. So back to your second question. So your mention about biggest job seeker mistake. Again, I think I'm not in a best position to explain from the job seeker point of view, but from employer's point of view, or your future employer point of view. There's 150 of you here. Later I'm going to do a short advertisement to ask you to apply to my company. But before that, biggest mistake is that one is a lot of people lie on their resume. Number two is that a lot of people is not genuine. Okay, let's go. The biggest one is that biggest lie is those people that maybe some, okay, when you apply to big companies and so on, HR will assume whatever you say in your resume is true. But for a smaller company like me, where I actually vet every single resume, I have seen patterns that people lying, and it's like, so the resume is so, the CV is so bombastic lah, so hebat, you cure cancer before your age of 20, those kind of thing. I've seen this for very, very smart students and so on. I think it's because of maybe you have to sell yourself, but then again, don't oversell. The idea here is that you don't oversell. You have to validate whatever that you're trying to sell. For example, is that okay, for USIM students, I know that they are very well trained to become a software developer, even a software analyst and so on. So they can talk more about what you have done for the past year or the past 2 years that you are at USIM, even though you don't have any working experience and so on. You build an app. This app was used by all the students of USIM, for example. I give an example. So when you're passionate about talking about whatever that you do, even though it sounds, maybe you think, alah, app bodoh je pun, app simple je. But you don't understand that we can see that you are being genuine, you are being passionate about what your work, that simple stupid app. Then you talk about it a lot, and you talk about how the thought process that went through when you built the app, the thought process when you went through, or the effort when you have to pitch your app to be used at your university and so on. If you have some sort of you have to defend your app to your lecturer and so on. Those kind of informations are very, very useful during the interview. But this is the thing I realized is that a lot of students, since they know that they do not have professional experience, since they're fresh graduate, they tend to lie. And number two is that if the mistake that they have the experience, actually they have the experience of building an app, of maybe not in a professional setting, but still that experience is there, but they do not know how to turn whatever their passion or their experience into something that can defend them or sell themselves. I think that's the biggest. The two biggest issues that I think that I kind of hate when I see or when I interviewing lah. Number one is lying or not being honest, too bombastic until you cannot believe it. And number two is that you know that you are very good, but you do not know how to turn your very well-rounded experience and so on into selling yourself. You tend to follow standard buku apa ke, baca pada Google mana, you just kena cakap pasal your CGPA ke apa ke. Actually tak, it's more of you have to talk about what you're passionate about. When you whatever course that you do, you already know it. You have to turn it into something that you are be more passionate about what is your passion lah. You, of course, when you study whatever computer science ke computer security, you already know about it. You already are passionate about it. Otherwise, you spend 4 tahun buat apa, bazir masa je. So you already very passionate about it. So talk about it. Utilize every single day, every single week that you have spent in your 4 years. Talk about it lah. I think employers would, any employers, I think I can speak for myself only, but when I see those kind of passion, I already don't have to see, like Mr. Hassan, don't have to see whatever the CGPA ke apa ke, because I already know that, yeah, I just give task, yang ni siap lah. So that's basically it lah, the answer.
Thank you, Mr. Hafiz. Okay, regarding the point that you mentioned on how to verify information, can you hear me? Am I audible? Yeah, okay. So regarding how to verify the information, I remember that you talked about the previous question on how Instagram usually gives a bias results when you're searching for things, kan? So I think it's also the responsibility of students now to find the information themselves, collect it, and then sort it out. I think usually I come from a debating background, so this is also something that's been mentioned by my debating coach as well. They say that you need to know, although debating is just usually people think that debating is about fighting or trying to prove that you're right, but you need to know that debating is also seeing different perspectives so that you can find out the pros and cons on both sides. So I think this is a very good point that students need to learn in order to make good judgments in the future, not only in the work field, but also in making judgments for their life, throughout their whole life, I think. So thank you, Mr. Hafiz, for that point. Also,
Yasmin, sorry, Yasmin. You made a very good point, so I would like to interject. I'm sorry if it seems very rude. So first of all, congratulations, we are a fellow debater.
Oh.
I also used to be a debate on behalf of the police state kecil je. Yasmin, the process of debating is not about arguing, it's more of about finding the truth. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hafiz. Oh yes, it's also about finding the truth. Yeah. Okay. So moving on to the next point that you make, Mr. Hafiz, you talk about how lies. I'm a little bit curious on what you mentioned about the lying in the CV and so on. So what do you mean by lying? Is that they don't provide the proof in for what they mentioned in the CV, or how? I'm not quite sure what the lying actually means.
Okay, for example, right? The best. Okay, for example, I give a hypothetical situation lah. Okay, you are intern at Facebook. Let's say for Facebook, 10 years ago, 15 years ago when it was started, right? So 15 years ago, you intern at Facebook. What did you do is mostly bring people coffee. Stupid one lah, bring people coffee. And then you mentioned that you were part, because you try to portray that you were part of a team that is developing Facebook. Yes, it's correct if you want to argue about it. Semantically, yes, you work at Facebook as an intern, so you were part of a team. But when you were trying to in the process of interview and so on, you try very hard to oversell yourself. This is where I think uh, for experienced interviewer like me, I can see through lah whatever that you're trying to lie. So for me, it would rather that if you think that you don't really, yeah, because you're intern at Facebook and so on, so it might sound very sexy, sound very wow. But then if you're better, you talk about something that you are very, very good at. It might, this is the thing, because people might think that, oh, I developed attendance app at USIM. It sounds very boring and so on, but then it might be the one that the employer needed very much. Let's say, for example, if you are in the software providing the military attendance and so on for the soldiers and so on, you might really need it. You never know. This kind of so-called stupid app or stupid problem for you might be very important someone else. English proverb apa tah ni? Someone wine barrel's bottom is someone else's heel. So to you might be seem stupid, to other people might be very unique. So when you interviewing, so you might think it's a stupid thing to mention, but actually the interviewer is maybe finding out this is the wow factor. So that's my opinion lah.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. I hope that the other students can also gain a lot of input from this, since some are currently doing their latihan industrial training. So I think or maybe for the future students, for the year 3 students, they can start thinking now on what they want to put on their CV, not just based on the company. I think I've seen a few examples from seniors where they put in their CV something that seems gah, but it's solely based on the company's name. So I think that's what you meant as well, Mr. Hafiz, right? So I hope that the other students can take note of that as well, including me. Okay, so moving on to the next question. The next question is going to be directed to Mr. Hassan. So, Mr. Hassan, from what we can observe, COVID-19 has affected many industries and has driven students or communities to look for career fields that's going to be least affected by the pandemic. So, such as technology, education, and also healthcare. But there are also those that are beginning to venture into business, which is undoubtedly unearthing their talents and creativity. So what's your opinion, Mr. Hassan, about the business and working in a post-pandemic future? Is it possible that there's going to be new careers emerging due to the pandemic? And what do you think are the careers that's not going to be available or is going to diminish after the pandemic, or now we're going through endemic? So after the endemic finishes, so what are the careers that's going to diminish or going to be less seen?
Okay. I'm going to mix in some comments from Hafiz as well, yeah? Because interesting points, you know. Okay. in terms of new fields and different fields or whatever, okay, you have to remember that I got a little confused because I thought I was talking to actuarial people, but I think I'm talking to a much wider group. There's macam-macam people. Okay, so let me just speak more towards the actuarial side, but you can generalize it to others. Yeah, you're graduating as an actuarial science degree. Okay, so that doesn't mean you are definitely working in an insurance company. You know, that doesn't mean, okay, even though generally actuaries work in insurance companies, you're not getting an actuarial degree because you really want to work in an insurance company. I mean, nobody grows up saying, yay, I really want to work in an insurance company when I grow up. Nobody lah. You know, it's well known to be one of the boring places to work lah, kan? You graduate with an actuarial degree, so this actuarial brain is what's being developed. This actuarial brain can be in so many different fields. An actuary is strong in risk management, in understanding risks and predicting the future. So yes, the traditional jobs have been in insurance or consulting, but that doesn't mean that's your only choice. You know, banks need this as well. Venture capitalists need this. You know, there's a whole wide range of people that need this brain. Okay, so sometimes when you see people, they ask the question, okay, is this my first, you know, is this the right career for me, my first job, or how do I pick the right first job? You don't know what's in store for you. Step one, get a job lah. You know, I'm thinking more like your dad rather than, you know, as somebody else, but you know, because you don't know what the stepping stone is. The stepping stone is important, and we can't see the whole path. You know, when you were in secondary school and you're saying, oh, I want to go to USIM, you didn't understand everything involved with going to USIM, kan? You could, you know, you said, okay, that's my choice, and you went in without understanding. It's the same thing when you graduate. It's no different. So the first step, maybe you don't understand, but you don't know how it's going to develop. For instance, I had this boy, Firdaus. He joined my company. Very good, very strong. You know, I just loved the boy. He wasn't the strongest grades, but he had other stuff. He was good at speaking, and he was passionate about the Korean language. So he was the president of the Korean Society in the U.S. And that was the first time they had a non-Korean as president of the Korean Society. Malay boy lah, very strong. So he had a passion for this, and of course, I can't do anything for him with Korean because we don't go to Korea. For us as actuaries, we go where there's demand. So in Korea, they have a lot of their own actuaries, so it's hard for us to get projects in Korea. But go to other countries, it's easier lah. But nonetheless, his passion, the fact that he could talk about it so clearly, and that interest was what drew us to him. And he worked with us. He enjoyed himself for a couple of years. We went on business trips to, where did we go? We went to Brunei a number of times. We went to Thailand projects. We went a few more countries as well. I tak ingat lah. But then after that, he left to work with reinsurance company. Okay. The thing with this reinsurance company, they weren't hiring fresh grads. They wanted people with a little bit of experience. Okay, but his role at that reinsurance company until now is visiting other countries and doing marketing, actuarial marketing. And the main country he goes to, Korea. He goes to Korea. He's there. He's speaking the language. So our company was the first step in moving on. Does it make me sad that he comes and join the company and 3 years later he leaves? Yes, of course. But he's already gotten me a couple of projects from his travels, so he's already helped me out. So you don't know what you don't know what the future is going to hold. So getting that first job is a stepping stone. And what are some of the mistakes that I've seen in terms of people interviewing? First of all, being boring lah. No shy lah. We're not. It's not like a date. We're not like interested in getting married or something, right? No need to like shy like that lah. It's interacting. You have to look at it from our eyes. We get a whole lot of CVs. when we look at these CVs, what makes you different than everybody else? So if you tiru off your friend punya CV and they look identical and you both send the same to the same companies, I see it side by side. Oh, here's this. Okay, yep, there. Okay, even the alignment is the same. Okay, you both treasurer of this club. Wow, very good. How you both treasurer of this club, you know? At least you put like co-treasurer, at least try lah, you know? And your experience is all the same, everything. Kadang-kadang the spelling error pun the same. Aduh. You know, we're looking for people that stand out, you know? From young, you're trying to blend in, but we're hiring one person. If we're hiring one person, you've got to stand out. So if you look like everybody else, it's going to get you nowhere. Okay, so sometimes we see people with a perfect 4.0 average. They're so, they've always gotten perfect grades, but you just want to poke them and says, okay, are you alive or not? There's no personality. They're like, okay, I'm going to come in and I'm going to be the CEO of your company very soon because I am that amazing a person. We've had people say that. They come in and say, "Oh yes, I'm the savior of your company." It's like, dude, you're a fresh grad. You come in with nothing. The first couple of years you join our company, you're not helping us that much. We're training you, not you're training us, helping us. I mean, that's a reality because it's understood. You don't need to be shy about that. We know we're going to be training you. It's a two-way road. We don't expect you to be experts. What we expect is for you to have a passion for something, So if you got all these applications coming to you, if you have a passion for something, that will stand out, And sometimes it's a question of maybe that whenever you're in an interview, it's interview two ways, The biggest mistakes I've seen is that when you have a job interview, at the end I say, okay, do you have any questions for us? They say, no. Okay, so you don't really want to work here, do you? If there's nothing about my company that you find interesting, doesn't that mean that you don't actually want to work here? So that's one of the biggest mistakes I see. You should want to work here. You should be interested in finding out about what life is like, and okay, you got a passion for going to karaoke. Okay, lah. Your question? How often do you guys go out and do things? And I've seen that, not karaoke lah, but they say, does your company have like social get-togethers and, company activities? And that was a thing. And we didn't hold that against him that he asked that question. It was a plus because we knew that he had a passion for something and he was going to come in and bring some energy to our company. If somebody else was much stronger technically, they're probably going to get the job over him. But if there's people that all nampak lebih kurang, he stands out. Okay, so I think that is, I know I didn't quite answer your full question, but I don't think the careers is not the right question. There's going to be new careers, and I think you have to just go out there and find what's available. Rather than just think, okay, I want to work in an insurance company. I want to do this. I want to do that. What is available? Because you don't know the future. I don't know the future. Okay, I think that's enough for me. Tapi Hafiz ni nampak locked up dah. There he is. Okay. So for me, khalas.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hassan. I really like the point on when you mentioned about if I never thought about the fact that if we're interviewing, we also when people taught on interviews or from seniors, they thought that they'll ask us questions if you have any questions regarding the company. But I didn't know that we could actually ask about those sort of things as well, since I thought it was purely based on like requirements and for me, I thought that if we were asking about what we were getting ourselves into, that would make us seem as if we didn't study the company enough. So that was what I thought of when you thought about the question, like if the students ask themselves, what are we getting ourselves into actually when we're entering the company? So I didn't that's something new for me since I didn't know that that was accepted. I thought
Yeah.
that you would
No,
consider it food.
This is very important. I mean, I can tell you a couple of the most important questions that we ask, So what questions do you have about our company? That's important because I learned what's important about you. The first question you'll get is, tell us about yourself. We learn a lot about that. Some people will start talking about, I've got I'm from Terengganu. I've got, I've got 5 siblings and this, and that's not the wrong answer. That tells us that family is very important to them. So when they come into our team, it's going to be thinking as a family. Others, when they start, they don't tell us anything about that. It's, I took this course and I got an A, and then I took this course and I got an A too, and this was a really hard course and I got an A. Other times it's okay. I did this and I had this internship and this is the kind of stuff that I did. So there's no right or wrong answer, but that's a very important question. You'll be amazed. The question that I learned the most from, okay, and I'll ask you this question, okay? This is not an actuarial question, okay? And then I promise to close mouth, so Afiz can take over last question. Okay, if you were an animal, what animal would you be? Answer me that question. You can't think too much. If you're an animal, what animal would you be?
I'd be a whale.
Interesting. Okay.
I'd be a whale.
Why?
Because I think that whales are generally gentle in nature, but they are really huge, and and I feel in certain cases I've seen that whales tend to want to protect other animals around them. Even though they're huge, they don't use it to their advantage and they don't try to hurt, although they might sometimes hurt. How do you say? Secara tak sengaja, but in general, they like to protect. For example, we've seen the whales helping or like moving around with a pod of other animals to protect them from sharks and so on. And you can also see that, that's exactly why I feel like they're very caring and gentle in nature. So
that's such a USIM answer, right? Caring. You learn a lot from that question. I learned more from that question than many other things, and I've had macam answers. My favorite probably was someone who said cockroach.
Cockroach.
And I was expecting the best answer. I was expecting them to say, yes, because I've survived since the dinosaur era. Tapi tak, that wasn't their answer. Their answer was, because if you are flying cockroach, even the most, sadok guys, they're also going to start crying and run away when they see a cockroach.
I run away flying cockroaches.
Okay, finish. Time for Afiz. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hassan, for the answer, even though it's not related to the question, but I think what you explained to us has actually answered more questions from the students than the actual question itself. So thank you to Mr. Hassan. Moving on to the last question we have is it's going to be directed to Mr. Hafiz. So the last questions, I think it may have been answered a little bit during Mr. Hassan's part, but maybe Mr. Hafiz wants to add more onto it. So it's regarding the soft skills that students have. Okay, so for Mr. Hafiz, given now that students have to compete with each other for a spot in the job industry, what kind of soft skills do you prioritize on when you're choosing the candidates? And if the students need qualifications or certifications for those soft skills, or is it enough if they learn through, for example, YouTube tutorials, or if they join webinars and so on? So that's my first question. And then second is, with those skill sets, how can it help the students in exploring the industry demands?
Okay, thank you for those questions. I think the first question has 2 sub-questions, but let me proceed. Sometimes this is a very specific case-by-case basis. For example, if the interviewer likes music, then they would, when you mention something about music, they would trigger the switch lah for them. So, but in terms of soft skill that can be standardized, number one is, again, it's always the same. When you're passionate about whatever that you do, it shows, and you will be a very, very interesting person. For example, the soft skill that you need to have is the most important that I can think can be standardized, is be able to communicate, bercakap. You can be introvert, you can be extrovert, whatever your personality is, but in work you need to be able to communicate. So there is communicating in and communicating out. Number one is communicating in, is that you need to be able to understand what other people been talking, been saying, been writing, been screaming, and whatever it is. Some people communicating in a lot of ways. So you need to be able to read the body language. This soft skill is very, very hard to learn by books. There's no qualification, I think. But this is interact more. The best way to learn about this is interact more. So the second part is to communicate out. Okay, here is that you need to be able to okay, I would like to mention a personal anecdote a little bit lah. Okay, so because I orang yang tergagap, I cakap gagap. So the best way is saya join debate. So for me is that when I join debate, I can kurang cakap gagap. So for me, kalau you you know yourself unable to speak well, you know yourself unable to write well, simple je dia punya solution. Speak more, write more. There's no other answer. Speak more, write more. So kalau you know that you do not know how to write well, simple je, write more. Jangan bagi banyak alasan. Don't give these excuses lah. Don't have time lah, everything. Everyone have the same 24 hours, but some people every day they do a little bit more and more and more and more. They will have been at more. I mean, at advantage lah compared to you. Plus, I think they would love. They would enjoy doing writing more and so on. Okay, so back to main question. What is the soft skill that that I would love to see, is that to be able to communicate. I believe that is the most the soft skill that is least equipped among all my employees, interns, and also whoever be coming to interview. Most of them are unable to communicate well. Even like when I ask like basic questions, sometimes I just want a straight answer. I do not want a pitch. For example, I ask, so what is the capital of what is the capital of Kuala Lumpur? What is the capital of Malaysia? So sometimes they think that is maybe it's a trick question and so on. So basically, it's not a trick question. It's just that I want to be able to know that you actually remember all those basic knowledge kind of questions. So some people they try to make fun ke ataupun cakap pandai semua, then it seems like you do not understand that I just need to be able to you do not understand my body language, that I just want to know, I just want to tick my box je. Kata you faham ke tak faham. So when you cakap panjang-panjang benda tu, I unable to tick my box. So those are the things that bila example questions yang bila dalam interview they are unable to jawab very well. Basic questions pun macam tu. So those are the things that I think kalau we're talking about job market, interview and all, be able to communicate. Communicate, you see communicate in, meaning you tengok people communicating to you, and also communicate out. Cakap exactly what you need to cakap. I mean, don't cakap merepek-merepek banyak sangat pun, tapi I tend to do that kind of mistake. So I tend to cakap banyak. So that's my flaw. I think I also need to learn to communicate better. And also just make sure the message is received by the other party lah. So that is first question, is that communicate. Kalau di all other soft skills tu, To be honest with you, I think there is no standard one. I never am able to abstract kan and bagi a standard soft skill. Okay, or this employee have this and that. Mostly, I will see that they have passion in anything lah, in Korean ke apa ke, whatever it is. I like Mr. Hassan mentioned about that guy that learn Korean. So there are a lot of things. You can use my company pipeline ke apa ke, we tend to think of it as a launchpad, as a academy saja. For you work for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, after that you go and to do whatever that you want. Maybe you want to go to Korea and work there and so on. So we tend to think ourselves as the launchpad lah for all those people. So we just want to see passion and be able to communicate that passion. So when you're passionate, I think somehow you will train yourself to be able to communicate your passion. So for the second question is that on the certificate and so on, I think I don't really believe in certificate, especially on soft. Some people might be score 100 in music exam, but unable to play music. The second question is about. I'm sorry. I try to think back. Is it about learning about YouTube and through YouTube and so on? The second question. Sorry.
Yes? Is it enough? If yeah. So I think we can say it like this. Qualifications or certificates is needed, or if you can see that they are able to use those soft skills, even though they don't have certificates, they just learned it through webinars or through tutorials, YouTube tutorials. Is that enough?
Okay. Okay. I think maybe kita ubah sikit the questions lah. Allow me to ubah sikit questions lah. Because certain soft skill macam I mentioned, communicate apa semua tu is not really learn macam mana kata, can be learned through social media or books pun. But there are skills, other skills, not soft skills, macam skills be able to draw, be able to even code pun are hard skills, not soft skills, hard skills. For example, kalau ada actuarial science students ke, they want to learn to code pun. Actually, I believe is that the best way to learn is to really put time and be systematic about your learning. So it doesn't really matter YouTube or even TikTok or Instagram and so on. There's a lot of content actually on YouTube and TikTok on the about learning stuff. For example, I have to be very honest. I run software business. I develop a lot of software for businesses, but I never been trained formally as a software engineer or as a software developer. I never been to any programming class at university, but all I learned is through YouTube. And in my company, when we train new students and so on, all those materials are actually coming from Udemy and YouTube. That's a secret sauce lah. I share with you is that we don't really use an academic kind of program. So we use a lot of YouTube and Udemy.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hafiz, for your answer. I think many people can now relate that they also take, although they do have background and have the academic lessons on their subject and so on, but some people also take internet courses to supplement. Some people take it for their CV, but like Mr. Hafiz, maybe there are other people that have their subject has no relation to that, but they take it for their passion. So maybe I think there are students who are also like you, Mr. Hafiz. Okay, for now we finished the main questions for our forum, but I can see that there's a lot of other questions in the Q&A Slido website. So we'll continue our forum with the Q&A session. So for now, participants can unmute your mic if you have a question and ask directly. Or for other students, if you don't want to speak up, then you can also state and drop your questions in the chat box, or as you can see in the Slido slide. So I think if there are no other, sorry, let's see the chat box first. Okay, okay. Since most of the questions are from Slido, I'll be reading the questions first. So the first question is: there's a myth for every 10 entrepreneurs, only one survived in the real world. The rest was unsuccessful and we never heard from them. Is it true? Okay, I think I'm not sure which person they want to direct it to, but I think both of the panels can answer if they want.
This one for Hafiz lah. Not me.
Okay, so my answer, myth, actually is not myth, it's called a survivorship bias. So you only know or you only heard about the successful one. That is correct. You for every election and so on, you realize that 2018, 2013, so on, you only know who won, and sometimes you don't really remember pun whoever the minister for this and minister for that. But whoever that lost, I don't think you can even name one of them. It's because of, unless it's super famous and so on. But I don't think you can name one of them. History is always being written by the victors. A lot of entrepreneurs, I actually nowadays kan semua orang nak semua TikTok punya, Instagram punya era ni, semua kata founder. Actually business is easy and hard at the same time. Business is easy in terms of running it operationally and so on. Is the business process is very easy, but it's very hard on you mentally and emotionally. If you unable to cope with the mental and emotional stress, do not go into business. Because business is very, very, very tough on you as running running the whole process. So whatever business, it's not just a software business. It's maybe your baking business and so on. If you do not able to cope, I'm not sure whether sometimes some people feel that I want to have a happier life and so on. So maybe you would be happier at working. Not everyone should and can be an entrepreneur. I wouldn't wish whatever happened or whatever stress as an entrepreneur on my even worst enemy, because it's very, very stressful. Very, 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 very stressful. People think it's very easy, but it's not. It's very, very difficult in terms of mental and emotional. But the numbers here, 10%, I can say that 97% of businesses, especially if you define by fail as not booming or not stays up. Okay, 90% of businesses will die in the first 3 years. The 10% to, I think, mostly are zombies. Maybe 0.5% actually meletup lah. So the rest mati or zombie. Sorry jawapan panjang pula. Excited saya jawab. Saya suka deal dengan students. Very passionate.
Let me just comment for Kejap.
Boleh.
For those entrepreneurs that don't succeed, the question is, what happens then for them? You know, even the ones that succeed, you talk to them, I'm sure they had failures along the way, you know? So you failed this time, but that doesn't mean you're going to fail the next time. Like on the actuarial side, for entrepreneurs, we're talking about people that have this small, you know, small consulting firms. So one of my dear friends, he ended up in a failing business. There was reasons for that. But after that, he became I can't say too much, you'll know who he is, because he's about ready to jump in as CEO of a new takaful operation. So the experiences he gained as struggling as an entrepreneur moved him forward to other things. you know? So there's no such thing as real failure. It's just lessons, you know? Okay, خلاص.
Okay, thank you for both of your input on this question. Moving on to the next question, we've got from Anonymous, what characteristics do actuarial partners look for when absorbing people as permanent workers? I think this question is going to be directed to Mr. Hassan.
Yeah, I mean, you could answer this both ways lah. What do we look for, and what does Afiz punya company look for as well lah, kan? Now, speaking honestly on this one, it depends on rezeki. We're not a big company, you know. We're like if you have an internship with AIA and there's thousands and thousands of employees, you know, so like that, if you're doing well, you get absorbed, whether it's in the actual department, go into the finance department, pricing, product development, investments, you know, sure, there's a place for you. But if you're a small company with only, say, 50 employees, if there's an opening and you match, then rizki lah. If there's no opening, then even if you're the best intern in the whole world, there's still nothing we can do for you, you know? So that's the reality. Now, what would we look for when absorbing people? It depends. You know, somebody who's been an internship with us, okay? They've been with us for, 3 months, 4 months, whatever that is. If they were never able to connect in with us and develop a personal bond or friendship, that's a bad sign. Now it's hard due to COVID-19 lah, I understand. You know, that's a disadvantage for a young person just getting in. But if there's no bond, then it's going to be troublesome. If you aren't able to prove that you can handle the work, that's a bad sign. You know, people come in raw. You know, we had one person come in joining my team a couple of years ago. She was completely raw, no internship experience, no exam passes, but you could see she had that fire, you know. So we brought her in, but she was very, very raw. Whereas if you've been an intern for a few months with us, we know what you are like. So you have to have actually proven yourself lah. Okay, so I think that answers it for my side.
Okay, thank you to Mr. Hassan. Moving on to the next question, since we have quite a few. In your opinion, should work from office still be implemented in today's scenario, or should companies move to work from home as the new norm? I've seen a lot of companies moving back to work from the office nowadays. Although there are, have you heard of the Tesla company that they mentioned that the workers have to stay, or was it something like workers can stay for work from home, but with the minimum amount of working from the office of 40 hours per week. So that's basically meaning like you can work from home after you work at the office.
Okay, I can jump. You skipped a question, yeah? But on this question, it depends on the industry and it depends on the situation. You know, like we've been having this discussion at a partners level at my company. So my comment has been this: if coming into the office is meant to be a punishment, then why are you punishing people? So the question is, why are you coming into the office? Now, for my profession, do I think there's a scenario where it's best for everybody to be working from home 5 days every week? No. I think there's a usefulness for coming into the office, meeting each other for a reason. Not just to come in and sit down at your desk and say, there he is. Okay, she's sitting there working. Okay, good job. But you look down and she's down on her phone, main Facebook lah. You know, it's not. So what are they doing at the office? So I can imagine the way I see the future for my team anyway, starting next week, actually, this week, is coming into the office once a week, focused, having our meetings, having our live discussions, going to lunches with clients, doing things. So that's how I see us lah.
Just from my parents' experience, my father also works at an international company, and although he works in the computer industry, so basically he's an internet or network security consultant, but he still has to go to the office now, although all of his work is done on the computer. And I think that's something for me, I found that a little bit confusing because I was like, he can do everything on his computer, but why does he need to go to the office? So you mentioned now it's more on making sure that the work is done more better, I think, in terms of how you run the work, and also to make sure that people create bonds. So thank you for that. Moving to the next question. It's also done, it's also meant for Mr. Hassan. What actually happens to someone who doesn't finish their professional exam? Will it affect the career growth, that person's career growth? Mr.
Okay,
Hassan.
sorry. The last question you tak tanya Hafiz jugalah, jangan buat dia sakit
Okay.
hati tau. Ha.
Mr. Hafiz, jangan terasa.
Unless you're okay lah. You okay lah.
Mr. Hafiz, if you
Okay,
want to...
I'm okay. I'm okay. We have to follow their timing until 11.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, so if you don't finish your exams, okay, so for the non-actuarial people, we have a series of exams. The exams are super hard. You know, they're very difficult exams to go through. So what if you don't finish your exams? What happens? Can you stay with the company or whatever? So let me tell you my company. Okay, in my company, we have a senior partner. He's a qualified actuary from the UK. Myself, I'm qualified actuary from US. Shu is qualified from the US. Aiza and Hamada from UK, and we have one which is not qualified. So one partner is she never finished her exams, but yet she's a partner. Okay, so she was able to make it through. Is it harder? Yes lah. Now at our principal level, we have Emma, who's a qualified actuary, Joanne, who's a qualified actuary, Wei Ying, who never finished her exams, but she's a principal. We have Su En, who's also a principal, but she never finished her exam. So it's a mixture. So even if you don't finish your exams, you can still work your way up, but it'll be much harder for you. And if you're in an insurance company, you wouldn't be able to be the appointed actuary, which is one position, but you could be the chief risk officer, chief operation officer, CFO. There's so many positions you can be. So I would say that's what would happen. Okay.
Thank you. Now we'll direct the question to Mr. Hafiz. Okay, so the next question is, I received a job offer from my supervisor at the company that I'm interning in now. Should I accept the job offer even though I know I won't be happy working there? Oh dear.
Soalan cepu mas ni. I think to be honest with you, happiness is a very subjective question lah. I can say for sure lah. I can confidently as a leader or as a boss or as an employer, if you keep lying to yourself, you wouldn't admit this lah. None of your employee like you. None of the company. People would be all employees would be very unhappy life or working life, there's always up and down. So the up is usually the day that you got your salary. The downs are the day that you kena marah and the day yang you tak dapat salary lah. Okay, so only one day per month that you actually very happy. This is safe to answer lah, safe to think about it. So back to this, should you accept the job offer? To be honest with you, if you can afford to say no, then just say no. I will be very frank. If you have rich parents or you can not work and so on, you can enjoy life, go to cafe every day, not working, just say no. If you're the type that, okay, I need the money, I want to build my career, you will realize that anywhere that you work, there's bound to be time where you are unhappy and also time where you are happy. So if you just make a decision on whether you'll be happy or not, it's a very bad framework to think about. If you just, because the happiness is it's not something that is dia macam love lah kan. All of you 20-ish semua ada boyfriend, ada girlfriend, semua nak kahwin dah semua. So love ni dia kena everyday. So everyday you have to say I love you, I love you, I love you, good night. You have to ask semua ni. So those kind of things are the same at work. If you think that, oh, generally because I don't feel happy lah here, to be honest, everywhere you work, the happiness will be there, but it's just that in different form. It's how you cope with the stress or the happiness is what define you. So best answer is that if you can cope or if you know how to manage your life and work, I think anywhere you work, you'll be thrive. This pakcik saya ada biasa bagi this word, dia nak kita jadi macam benih. If you throw to the ocean, you become an island. If you throw to you or the benih to land, you become a mountain. So anywhere you go, you'll be thriving and be successful. So it doesn't really matter when you talk about happy, as long as you have to manage yourself first. So that's my answer lah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hafiz. There's actually quite a lot of questions, so I think we'll have to skip a few. I'll move on to the question from Saifullah Muhammad. Mr. Hafiz, are you willing to take risk hiring a fresh grad to work at your company? Please justify. I think somebody's interested in your company, Mr. Hafiz.
Actually, Mr. Saifullah has been just 2 days ago was being interviewed for a permanent position at Part 9. Okay, so tak apa. I did not plan Mr. Saifullah to attend this session. You boleh tanya dia, I tak suruh dia attend. I did not know kata dia will attend or not. Okay, are you willing to take the risk of hiring fresh graduate to work at your company? Yes, because I'm a risk taker. And to be honest, I believe in students, interns or fresh graduate. The passion is the most important part. Usually, some people after 10 years of working and so on, they have start to lose their passions. It's very normal. Macam cinta lah. Dia mula-mula je panas. Lepas tu dia tak panas lah. So, when you're passionate, you can go very, very far. You're willing to do a lot of things. All the small little things that you're willing to do. So, I will not hesitate to say yes. There's no risk to be okay. There's no risk tipu lah, tak ada risk. Tapi it's a risk that I am willing to take and will not hesitate even for a second to consider fresh graduate. Because especially from USIM lah, ni puji sikit USIM. USIM punya students are very very good. Definitely advertisement sikit. So whoever yang doing internship ke apa ke ataupun baru lepas kerja ke or even tak habis lagi universiti, please do send your CV or resume to hr.partline.com.my. We are actively hiring. Please do mention kata you from USIM and we would love to interview you. Anyone pun lah yang tengah buat internship ke apa ke, please do send your CV and resume to hr@pipeline.com.my. pipeline.com.my. Advertisement sikit lah, sorry ya, moderator.
Mr. Hassan, do you also want to advertise anything? Alang-alang ni?
Tak apalah. Good luck.
Okay, so moving on to the next question. There's actually quite a few underneath. So can you scroll down the okay, thank you. Okay, I think move to the first one at the top. I'll end my internship soon. So in your opinion, should I start finding a job or wait for a job offer from the current company that they're working for internship? So I think both of the panels, either one of you can answer this question.
No, so you should be looking for a job lah. Sorry lah. You know, you can't promise that your current position is going to have an opening lah. You can't promise that the match is there. So simply waiting to me is not the right choice. You know, you have to be looking for a job actively. The question is, before you accept another job, that's when by right you can go to your current company that you're doing internship and you can say, okay, I've got a job offer. I'd love to work for you. is there a job opening? Would you like to hire me? But you have to be proactive lah.
Okay, thank you for that. I think since it's already 10:55, we'll have to end our session, the Q&A session. So thank you for everyone that is here, that attended our forum today, and also thank you very much to both our panels, Mr. Hassan and also to Mr. Afiz. Here, I will end my duty as the moderator for today's session. I'd like to apologize for any mistakes that I made throughout the session. And now I'd like to hand over the forum to our MC, Ms. Farisha. So please, thank you. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Yasmin Farhani, for conducting the program, and thank you for both our panel for the wonderful sharing just now. Hopefully, everyone present can utilize the information obtained throughout the session for their future self. Before we end our program for today, I would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Sakina Ali Piche, both of our panel and all the participants for photography session.
Okay. Is anyone want to open their camera? Okay. We wait 1 minute.
So before that, may I know where the companies for while we're waiting for Mr. Hassan and Mr. Afiz is actually? I think I've heard of Mr. Afiz's company before, since I am from computer science, but I'm not sure if it's the company that I've heard of before or not. And also maybe other students may want to know.
So basically, saya CEO and Managing Director of Pipeline Network Sdn Bhd. So our business is very simple. We get requirements from client to build software, and then we deliver to clients lah. I think Encik Saifullah yang ada dalam this session has been interning at my company. Again, whoever doing interns, if you in the software or CS computer science field, please do apply. I've seen the interns from the USIM are very good, so please do apply to hr@partner.com.my. Saya hard sell sikit lah.
Okay, Mr. Hassan, I'm a little curious about your company or your business as well, actually, since I'm not from actuarial science background, but there are others in here. I think quite a few of us here are from actuarial science. So maybe
we do consulting. So we help insurance companies with their actuarial needs. So we go macam-macam places lah. We're a local company. We're probably the largest local employer of actuaries in the country. If not, we're one of the top 2 or 3. So we do wherever we can find work, we find work. So in Asia, we've got projects in Indonesia, Singapore, Brunei, Malaysia, of course. We've had Thailand, Cambodia. Beyond that, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. Got further out, we've got Turkey. Jordan right now is a very big project.
Oh, that's very far.
Is Kenya. No, the best is Kenya, you know. I bring analysts with me every year to a board meeting in Kenya. So we do our heavy board meeting discussions and then we go on a safari. Hey, hebat lah.
It can be a holiday as well.
Encik Hassan, the safari mahal tak?
No, not Nairobi, because you do projects in Nairobi, but the how to say, the elephants, the zebra, the main, the big 5 and the lions, they come within 20 kilometers of the city. So you don't have to go way out. You just take right after Subo, you take the van out and then you go out into the reserve. So sometimes chaos lah. You open up your hotel window and you can see vultures just sitting right outside your window, you know. And you can see like big animals walking along the road sometimes, and interesting juga.
Teringin nak pergi safari
Never been to one.
Someday.
I think this is all for the who's going to open the camera. So maybe the person in charge can snap a picture now.
Okay, everyone ready? First we take the formal picture. So smile. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. Okay, freestyle. 1, 2, 3. Again, freestyle. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to Mr. Hassan. Thank you to Mr. Hafiz. Thank you also to Dr. Sakina and the committee.
Thank you to both speakers.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
And also Mr. Hassan. Thank you, Dr. Daya. I think we also have the alumni that join us. Thank you, Amna.
Thank you, Dr. Daya.
Hisham and also Dr. Rai and also Dr. Wan. I think I saw them. Okay, thank you, committee. Great job. Have a good weekend. Salam.
Thanks, everyone.
Alright, thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Salam.
Bye.
Salam. Thank you.